What's up guys, this is Jolin here, and today in this video let's unbox and do a long-term review of the OnePlus 8 Pro smartphone. This is the flagship device as we know, and it's been some time now that it has been launched. So how did the OnePlus 8 Pro fare during the time I had it? Let's find out. Now as for the unboxing, this is all what we get in the box. Now to give you a physical overview of the phone, the OnePlus 8 Pro comes with the 6.7-inch Fluid AMOLED Quad HD Plus curved display with 120Hz refresh rate, which is protected with the Corning Gorilla Glass 5. Then we have the 16-megapixel f2.5 aperture selfie camera, which is embedded in the punch hole cutout. A earpiece which also acts as a secondary speaker for the stereo speaker setup. Also an in-display fingerprint scanner on the front as well. The back of the phone is made of frosted glass and the frame is made out of aluminum, which feels ultra premium. We then have a quad camera setup with dual LED flash on the back, out of which one is a regular 48 megapixel having f1.8 aperture. Then we have the 8 megapixel telephoto camera, then a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera and a 5 megapixel color filter camera. So on the right hand side, we have the power on off button and an alert slider, whereas on the left hand side, we can find the volume buttons. The top of the phone is kept clean with just a noise cancellation microphone, while the bottom houses the USB Type-C port for charging, the main microphone, speaker and the SIM card tray. Unfortunately, we don't get a headphone jack on this phone. As for the internals, the OnePlus 8 Pro is equipped with a Snapdragon 865 processor and Adreno 650 GPU, coupled with either 8GB or 12GB of RAM with either 128 or 256 UFS 3.0 storage. This all runs on Oxygen OS based on Android 10, and powering all this is a 4510 mAh battery. Now talking about the display first, the Fluid AMOLED 120Hz Quad HD Plus display fitted in the OnePlus 8 Pro looks amazing. So although the device is set to Full HD Plus 128Hz mode by default, but you have the option to push both settings to the max if you wish. So although I admire the aesthetics of the curved display, so it actually hinders the display experience. The 120Hz display makes scrolling and generally interacting with the display a lot more fun with its seamless transitions. This high contrast AMOLED has inky blacks and the color accuracy of the device display is top notch. This makes the phone feel snappy. I didn't face any issue using the phone outdoors as the display got really bright. The in-display fingerprint reader also is quite accurate and works quickly. As for the performance, the flagship Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset coupled with 8GB of RAM, which I own in the OnePlus 8 Pro, leads to very good performance, matching some of its competitors in the benchmarks as well. No matter what you threw at it, maybe some games or apps, etc., it ran with no issues. The only performance issue I noticed is some hiccups here and there while multitasking. So everything else in the phone feels nice and fluid, except for a bit choppiness while switching between apps. I really hope they address this in the future updates as well. As for the IP68 rating, while I didn't go too crazy, it easily survived splashes and being dunked in water a few times. Gaming on the OnePlus 8 Pro was a breeze. Every game I threw at it, it ran absolutely fine and without any issues. Yet despite all the games we played, nothing really made the most of the high refresh rate display to run at 120 FPS. Oh yeah, PUBG fancies 90 FPS gaming but at low graphic settings. But the nicely tuned display did deliver some fantastic visuals regardless. The low graphics and the high graphic games played without any lags or stutter, even at maximum graphic settings with good stability. Thankfully, I didn't notice any overheating signs while playing the games. The stereo speakers on the other hand got quite loud, but it missed the low-end punch, which is obvious in any smartphone. Now coming to the software experience, the Oxygen OS X UI based on Android 10 sets the phone apart from all other Android smartphones. It's just as slick and fast as stock Android, but comes with lots more features. There are no ad or minimal bloatware that distracted me from the tasks at hand. And the UI elements combined with high refresh rate for the display feels far more responsive than anything else. Speed, customizations, and minimalistic aesthetics are all ensured. And even the RAM management is also done really well, and I didn't face any restarting of apps in the background when I switched to it. So other than some choppiness as I mentioned before. The curved edges on the sides did trigger accidental touches multiple times though, and I feel a little more refinement would likely solve this issue. There is also no always on display. We are at a cutting edge technology of AMOLED display here, but OnePlus still hasn't figured out how to make the always on display work. The phone still shows incoming notification discreetly on the screen though, but you have to pick it up or tap twice on the panel to surface it. Other than that, I haven't faced any issues whatsoever. The OnePlus 8 Pro is powered with a 4510 mAh battery, and the biggest addition is of course the 30 watts wireless charging and the 3 watts reverse wireless charging, but you will have to buy the wireless charger separately. The battery performance is really good. I was easily able to get approximately 1.5 days of use with medium to heavy usage. This included both Wi-Fi and 4G connections, a little bit of gaming, and lots of social media browsing. But bumping up the screen refresh rate all the way up to 120Hz and Quad HD takes a bit of hit on the battery line. If the battery drains out completely, then the OnePlus 30 watts of warp charge technology lets you juice up the 8 Pro 0 to 100% in approximately 1 hour. So now coming to the cameras, a OnePlus 8 Pro features not one but two 48 megapixel cameras, this time in the quad camera setup at the back. The 48 megapixel sensor produces great images with good color and white balance. The images look very sharp and detailed when the light is optimal. The dynamic range is also quite good, with photos balancing out the highlights and the shadows to appear far more natural. The 48 megapixel wide-angle camera also performed well. Though it shifted towards a slightly cooler white balance, it also seemed a bit more washed out compared to the main sensor. But it remained quite sharp. The OnePlus 8 Pro automatically switches to the wide-angle camera and enables super macro mode when you bring the phone close enough to the subject. This is very handy and it saves you the trouble of doing this manually. The macro shots looked very good and are miles better than what you can capture with the dedicated 2 megapixel macro camera. The telephoto lens cannot keep up with the level of details you get from the other two cameras. OnePlus combines optical and digital zoom to let you zoom 3x, but the images often looked softer with less contrast and sharpness than the main sensor. Photos still look decent, but zoom past 3x and the quality begins to degrade more quickly than an optical 3x system would. In low light, the main sensor captures well-lit landscape shots with good details. Nightscape helps fix the exposure a bit and also produces slightly better textures. The wide-angle camera suffers the most in low light, but the nightscape can help salvage the shots. The images clicked by enabling the nightscape mode were good as well. Although OnePlus claims to be using a new algorithm for this mode, the images were quite good enough and nothing extraordinary. The 5 megapixel color filter uses a special filter to allow the phone to see different spectrum of light. It was revealed that the camera can see through certain materials, including some plastics and even clothes, so the camera is currently disabled after the recent update. The selfie camera on the OnePlus 8 Pro is 16 megapixel and it's very good. It has great color and contrast, and the dynamic range is good but doesn't make the images look washed out, but in artificial lighting the results are decent. The OnePlus 8 Pro can shoot videos up to 4K 60 fps. In standard video mode, the image quality is very good. Exposure is handled well and the footage is stable. Here you can switch between the main, the wide angle and the telephoto camera while recording up to 4K 60fps, which is something not many flagships offer. There is also a cine mode which crops your 4K 30fps or 4K 60fps video to 21:9 aspect ratio. The front camera video is limited to 1080p at 30fps. And finally, as for my verdict, the OnePlus 8 Pro ticks all the boxes for a premium flagship this time. It offers enough new features to differentiate itself, and that helps justify the price. With wireless charging, IP68 certification and much improved primary camera, OnePlus has smoothed the rough edges of the flagship devices. However, I do think it's high time we get better selfie cameras in the Pro models. Besides this, I have no much complaints and the OnePlus 8 Pro is easily recommendable. So guys, that's it for the video and I really hope you liked it. If you did, then kindly hit the thumbs up button or else you can vote it down. Kindly smash the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video goes live. So until next time, you guys take care. Ciao.